In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how a recession will impact Social Security. I have all the details and exactly what you need to know right here in the video. Let's get into it and discuss what's going on. First off, thank you so much for liking and sharing this video with those buttons right down below. I really appreciate it. Also, do you know somebody that receives Social Security that may benefit from this information right here in this video or any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel? If so, will you please make sure to share this video with them? Again, with the share button down below. Thank you. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for being part of the community. And let's talk about a recession and Social Security. All right, so we've got a recession knocking on our door right now, and a lot of people have been reaching out, and I've been seeing this out there as well, saying, hey, is a recession actually going to impact Social Security? The answer is yes, it is going to impact Social Security. Now, is it going to be a big impact, a little impact, a medium impact, or no impact? Well, here's the thing. It will impact, but the question is, how big is this recession going to be? Is it going to be a big, deep recession? Is it going to be a mild recession? Is it going to be prolonged, or is it going to be relatively swift? We don't know those details yet, right? But here's the thing. The longer and the deeper that it is, the worse it's going to be to Social Security, okay? Let me explain why. Now, I want to point this out really quickly. For those of you that receive Social Security as in retirement, SSDI, survivors, spousal, or even SSI, which is administered by Social Security but technically not Social Security benefits, my point is your benefits are not going to be impacted right now, okay? So if you're worried about your benefit checks ending today or tomorrow or next week or next month or being cut or reduced or taken away or anything like that, don't worry about it. You're fine, okay? Nothing will happen to your benefits. But the overall program with a recession does get whacked, okay? Now, again, I want to bring that to your attention and how. I'll explain exactly how, okay? It all comes down to this, okay? Something that I talk about here on the channel, which, to be fair with you, not a ton of people here on the channel watch these videos, which is a little bit surprising to me, but that's totally okay, okay? If you don't want to watch, that's totally fine. I'm not here to pressure anybody what to do, but it all comes down to the jobs reports and the unemployment rate. Now, how does unemployment have anything to do with Social Security, right? Let me explain really quickly. So think of it this way. Social Security gets, they get income from three different main income sources. Number one, payroll taxes, well over $1 trillion a year. Interest on the money in the trust fund, about $47 billion a year. And then taxation of monthly benefits, which is about $51 billion a year, all of which are from the most recent Social Security Board of Trustees annual report earlier in 2024 when that report came out, okay? But what was the number one line item that I just said right there where they get the bulk of their income? Payroll taxes. Who pays that? Employees, people that go into the workforce, they work for an hourly wage or a salary, whatever it happens to be. They pay 6.2% tax on their income, which goes to Social Security, and the employer pays another 6.2% Social Security tax on their earnings as well from the employers, right? Or if you're self-employed, you get to pay all of that 12.4% in total. You get the luxury of paying all of that, right? But either way, 12.4% tax goes to Social Security from the employee and the employer combined, okay? But get this. So right now, the unemployment rate is sitting over 4%, which historically is still relatively low. But with a recession, we typically see unemployment ticking significantly higher, okay? Let's put it this way. Let's just say that the unemployment rate goes up by 1%. You might think, who cares? 1%. It's only 1%. You're right. It is only 1%. But guess what? That is equivalent to about 1.86 million jobs. So every 1% that the unemployment rate goes up, that's 1.86 million people that are losing their jobs and no longer being in the workforce, okay? 2% increase of the unemployment rate would be 3.72 million people losing their jobs, okay? A 3% increase to the unemployment rate. So that'd be over 7%. That'd be high. That'd be bad. If unemployment is over 7%, it's ugly in this country. I'm just telling you that much, okay? It's going to be an ugly, ugly picture if 7% unemployment happens in this country anytime soon, but it could easily happen. We could easily see that happen, okay? But if we see 7% unemployment, that would be about, what is the math? I'm trying to run the math really quickly. About 5.5 million people unemployed above and beyond what is currently unemployed now, okay? That's a lot of people, okay? But remember this, where is Social Security getting the bulk of their income? Social Security payroll taxes. So For every person that becomes unemployed and is no longer paying in through Social Security payroll taxes, guess what's happening? That's a lot of money that is not going into the Social Security Trust Fund. When money doesn't go into the trust fund, benefits are still being paid out to beneficiaries. Well, what does that mean? It simply means that the deficit is widening. The amount of money coming in through Social Security payroll taxes, taxation of benefits, and interest on the money in the trust fund is not keeping up with the amount of money going out to beneficiaries. There's more beneficiaries that are receiving money than what's actually being paid into the system through payroll taxes and the other sources of income. You see what I'm saying here? So when people get laid off during a recession and less money is coming in through the payroll taxes, it simply means that the deficit continues to get wider and wider. In other words, more money is going out every single month than what's coming in, and therefore that's called a deficit, right? So what's happening is they'll have to draw on the trust fund even more to cover the benefits on a monthly basis to the beneficiaries. If you're a beneficiary, you're fine. Your benefits are good. You're totally fine. They've got a ton of money in the trust fund. They have roughly $2.788 trillion, according to the most recent Social Security Board of Trustees. But if the recession comes in and we have millions of people unemployed, then that trust fund is being whittled down faster and faster, okay? So as of right now, with the Social Security Board of Trustees annual report that we got a few months ago, earlier in 2024, we saw that the insolvency date was going to be anywhere between 2033 with the Old Age and Survivors Trust Fund or 2035 if they combine the Old Age and Survivors Trust Fund along with the Disability Trust Fund, which would also require them to change the law. They have to change the law in order to combine them. But that's where we're currently sitting right now. So about 2033 is what we're looking at. But let's just say, in theory, I have no idea what's going to happen, okay? I'm just saying, in theory here, let's just say that we have a prolonged recession that lasts for 12 months, okay? Just a nice round 12 months. Exactly 1 year time is how long it lasts for. Let's say that we see unemployment go up to 7% or a little over 7%. So we see a 3% increase in the unemployment rate, and we see about 5.5 million people lose their jobs. I don't want any of this to happen. I'm just giving this as an example for a theoretical example, okay? Just stick with me on this. I'm not like sitting here saying, oh, I hope all this happens. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's use this as theory, okay? So we have a 1 year recession that 5.5 million people have lost their jobs. That's a lot of money. Obviously, I don't know exactly how much money that translates into for payroll taxes, but it's a lot, right? It's going to be depending on a lot of different factors, but it's a lot of money that is not going into Social Security. This could negatively impact the Social Security Trust Fund because here's the thing as well. Let's just say out of the 5.5 million people, let's just say that a handful of those are people that were very close to retirement anyway, and they think, hey, I got laid off. What the hey? Why don't I just retire? Let's just call it good. Maybe this was my calling. I got laid off, I got let go, whatever it happens to be. And the person just says, forget it. I'm going to file for Social Security. I've been meaning to retire anyway for the last 3 years. This is a great time, right? So maybe some of these people that would have gone back to the workforce eventually just say, I'm just going to claim Social Security. What does this mean? It means more claims, more filing for Social Security benefits. Again, more money going out of the trust fund, less money coming in because the payroll taxes are not there. The person's not going back into the workforce, but rather they're collecting benefits. And then we see this shift going from, whoa, now we have this huge influx of beneficiaries because a lot of these people are probably going to start claiming their benefits. And then we don't have the payrolls coming in, again, to support it, and we see even more strain on the trust fund. It's, again, don't worry about the trust fund. It has $2.788 trillion in it. Nearly $3 trillion. It's a lot of money, and the trust fund is totally fine for now, okay? But they will still have money coming in through payroll taxes and all the other sources like that. It'll just be not nearly as much, okay? So we could potentially see, and this is how it impacts Social Security, we could potentially see the trust fund becoming insolvent sooner. That's what this means, okay? We could see the insolvency date move forward closer to current time from maybe 2033 to maybe 2032. In an extreme situation, maybe 2031. In a super extreme situation where a lot of people are unemployed, way more than, 5.5 million or something like that. If we see tons and tons of people unemployed with the unemployment rate going very, very high in a prolonged recession, maybe in a very extreme situation, maybe they even dial it down to 2030, something like that. Again, that'd be a massively extreme situation, but I'm simply saying this is how it impacts Social Security, is that It's all the payroll taxes. That's what happens there, okay? So does that make sense to help you understand how and why a recession actually does play a major role in Social Security? Because it impacts their major income source. Think of it that way, right? I mean, it's literally, it's a drawdown. It's a reduction of the major income source that Social Security has. And it's being drawn down because less money and less workers, right? Does that kind of make sense? So that's why in a major economic growth situation, a major economic boom where the economy is doing great, what's happening? Unemployment is going down, jobs are being created. When jobs are being created, more people are entering the workforce. When people enter the workforce, they're paying taxes. Taxes are going into the trust fund. The trust fund insolvency date is being pushed out into the future further and further. It's good when we see economic growth and economic strength. We see actually the opposite happening. We see longevity in Social Security being pushed out longer and longer into the future. Insolvency not being as concerning. Is that going to make sense? So, but remember this much as well. One last note here, and I'm going to wrap this up. What happens on the other side of recession? Massive economic growth, economic boom, economic expansion. So it's just like everything, right? It's like a big old mountain range. You go to the top of the mountain, that's the top of the economic cycle. You go down the other side, that's going down to a bottom of a trough, or otherwise known as a valley or a recession, or even worse. And then you start climbing again the other side of the mountain, and you go right back up to the peak. It's the same old thing. The economy operates the same thing. It happens just in big, big waves that take many, many years to play out, but that's the cycle that we're in right now, right? The economic cycle. Make sense? Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for now. For those of you that have been wondering, I hope this helps you to understand the situation. Please, again, subscribe down below if you haven't done so. Share the video with your friends on my social media. Check out the other videos here on the channel, the thousands in the video library. The ones I've hand selected for you down below in the description or the top of the comment section. And right now, pop out on your screen as well. You'll see some videos there. Thank you. Really appreciate your support. Have a nice day, and I'll catch you again later.